At sa ngayon, may I request our committee secretary to recognize the resource persons and administer the oath to those who are here for the first time. At ganito po ang ating daloy, ladies and gentlemen. Today is about the victim survivors. Matagal nang pinatahimik, matagal na tinakot. Ngayon po ay bibigyan natin sila ng puwang magsalita. Mayroon din po tayong mga witnesses dito na minsan nang nagpakita sa ating hearing. Para sa kanilang kaligtasan ay gumamit po sila ng ibang pangalan. Kung ano-ano ang nadinig galing sa mga taga-KOJC. Kesyo daw, duwag, ayaw magpakita ng mukha. Ngayon po, magpapakita na ng mukha at buong pagkakilanlan sina Yulia Tartova, nakilalang alias Sofia, Edward Ablaza Masayon, nakilalang alias Jackson, at Joar Martinet Olimba, nakilalang alias Jerome. So, Comsec, pakikilalanin muna yung ating resource persons at panumpain yung hindi pa nakapagsumpa.
Good morning po, Senator Hontiveros. For today's inquiry, the Department of Justice, which is supposed to be represented by Secretary Jesus Remulla, is represented by Senior State Counsel Mary Grace Quintana. We also have the Director for the Criminal Investigation and Detection Group, CIDG, PB General Nicolas Torre III, and Police Lieutenant Colonel Jean Likud, Police Colonel Hansen Marantan. Okay. For the National Bureau of Investigation, we have Investigator Victoria B. Canyo Jr. Victoria. And S.I. Geraldo P. De Luna. From the Department of Social Welfare and Development, we have Social Welfare Officer 5, Ms. Charito Esteban, and Attorney for Edgar Alian Pamis. From the Department of Interior and Local Government, we have ASEC Romeo P. Benitez. From the Department of Foreign Affairs, we have Undersecretary Jesus Gary Domingo. We have Secretary Enrique Manalo. Sorry po. And Attorney Zeph Goson. From the Bureau of Immigration, we have Attorney Vicente Uncad and Attorney Jose Calito Zailicas. From the Council for the Welfare of Children, we have Undersecretary Angelo M. Tapales. From the Commission on Human Rights, we have Chairperson Richard Palpalatok. From the Securities and Exchange Commission, we have Attorney Jonathan Pancrasius Pagirigan. We have Chief Counsel Attorney Hale Oliver Labayo and Attorney Pamela Lorraine S. Ramos. From the Social Security System, they are represented by Ms. Marie Elaine Estoque, their Vice President for Mindanao South 1 Luzon Division, and Ms. Irene Laksamana, as well as Ms. Alnora Presbitero, Ms. Elaine Perucho, Attorney Joseph Desuña. From the Center for Migrant Advocacy, they are represented by the Executive Director Ellen Sana, From the now Independent Press Council, they're represented by the President Edita Caduaya and the founding leader and executive pastor of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ, Pastor Apollo Quiboloy, together with Miss Jacqueline Roy, Crescente Canada, Pauline Canada, Ingrid Canada, Sylvia Semanes. With online is Miss Arlene Canuda Stone, Mr. Edward Ablasa Masayon, Mr. Joar Martinet Olimba, Ms. Teresita Kinanhan Valdehuesa, Ms. Jocelyn Mondejar, and online also is Ms. Yulia Veronin, and online also is Mr. Dindo Garcia Makiling. We will be joined later by alias Marie, Senator. That's all. May I request all of those who have not yet taken their oaths, the resource persons and witnesses as well, to stand up. And please raise your right hand. Resource persons and witnesses.
Bago natin unang dinigin yung ating mga victim survivors, first I would like to call on the Majority Leader, Senator Francis Tolentino, para sa kanilang opening statement. You have the floor, Major.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Magandang umaga sa ating mga resource persons. Magandang umaga kay Pastor Apollo Quiboloy at sa lahat ng mga naririto. At sa mga kapwa kong mambabatas, kahit po yung nandun sa online, at sa ating mga panauhin. Tayo po ay naririto sa harap ng committee ito sa isang maulang araw. At nais ko lang linawin po ang layunin para sa aking perspective as an officer of the court, as a lawyer, kung ano po ang layunin at kahalagahan ng pagdinig na ito. Ang Senado ay, una-una ang Senado ay hindi isang hukuman. At hindi po tayo naririto upang magpasya kung ang isang tao ay nagkasala o walang sala. Sa ilalim ng saligang batas ng Pilipinas, lalong-lalo na sa Article 6, Section 21, binigyan tayo ng kapangyarihan. Tinutukoy ko po ang mga mambabatas na magsagawa ng mga investigasyon in aid of legislation o bilang tulong sa paggawa ng mga batas. Sa hukuman, ang pangunahing layunin ay ang paglutas ng mga kaso at pag-alam kung may pananagutan o wala ang mga akusado, batay sa ebidensyang ipinapakita. Sa Senado, ang ating layunin ay iba. Ito ay upang mag-imbestiga at mangalap ng mga impormasyon at dokumento para sa isang makatarungan at makabuluhang pagbalangkas ng mga batas. Sa isang husgado, meron pong tinatawag na right to cross-examine witnesses. Maliwanag po sa Rules of Court, ang Bill of Rights, at iba pa. Ngunit nais ko pong ipabatid na ang karapatang mag-cross-examine ng mga testigo, isang mahalagang bahagi ng mga pagdinig ng korte, ay hindi saklaw ng investigasyong ito. Ang proseso ng cross-examination at iba pang pamamaraan na ginagamit ng korte ay eksklusibo sa hudikatura. But we recognize, this committee, again as an officer of the court, recognizes the primacy of the judiciary insofar as this issue is concerned. One, because the committee requested the Regional Trial Court of Pasig to allow the detainees to attend today's hearing. It is an acknowledgement of the court's jurisdiction over the accused. Number two, the committee, before it moved and conducted a hearing today, showed respect to the court by acknowledging the court's jurisdiction.
i-celebrate ang opisyal na pagdating ng Temu sa Philippine market, may ipamimigay kaming malaking bonus.
By Undersecretary Jose Domingo, who can add any input if needed for this morning. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Secretary Manalo. Yes, would you, Sec Domingo, like to briefly add anything to these two updates on the formal request for extradition and the request for assistance?
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair, Senator Tolentino. Yes, as Secretary Manalo has mentioned, that we have not yet received a formal request, but we are standing by. Also, we have also not received any request with regard to trafficking, with assistance with respect to the human trafficking. But all our Foreign Service posts and all our offices in the Department of Foreign Affairs stand ready. And we have been in informal consultation and communications with our sister agencies and government. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you also, Yusek Domingo. The Majority Leader would like
Just
to
one
interject.
quick follow-up question address either the Secretary Manalo or Yusek Domingo. I have here in my possession in front of me our extradition treaty signed November 13, 1994, which I believe should be read alongside Presidential Decree 1069. This has some legal complexities involved, and perhaps you might want to educate this committee, which would have primacy just in case an extradition request is sent to the DFA. What would happen to the pending cases lodged before the Regional Trial Court of Pasig pursuant to PD 1069?
Thank you very much,
Secretary
Senator.
Manalo.
Yeah. If I could first give a very general answer, and then, of course, on any specifics that might arise in the event that we receive a formal extradition request. Just to say, if we do receive a formal request, we will, the DFA will, of course, study it and see if it is consistent with the agreed procedure pertaining to extradition. And here's where PD 1069 would also come in. So we would have to study that. And then after, if we are satisfied with the request, we will, of course, refer it to the Department of Justice for relevant action. So in other words, we will still have to study any extradition request if received. Perhaps later, it's quite a detailed approach, pero yun ang general approach if we do receive such a request. Thank you.
One quick follow-up, just to remind the officials of Department of Foreign Affairs as well as councils present here. Anything that would transpire and would come out of these proceedings under oath would be recorded. And pursuant to existing extradition rules, any request to have any transcripts coming out of these proceedings would have to be coursed through the DFA. Kayo po ang magpapadala nito mula sa committee ito papunta kung saan man. So you should be aware of that, and the lawyers here present should be aware of that, because this would trigger some concerns involving civil rights or individual rights. So just be aware of that. And I suggest, Madam Chair, that the DFA should stay here till the conclusion of the investigation proceedings, to be physically present. But that's what I'm saying. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Majority Leader. Assured naman po tayo na bagamat may kailangang mauna ng umalis si Secretary Manalo, that Yusek Domingo will stay on with us. So the department will be well represented. Salamat po, Secretary Manalo, Undersecretary Domingo at Majority Leader. So ngayon po, ang una po nating witness ngayong umaga ay si Teresita Valdehuesa. Ang di umanong miyembro ng unang batch ng pastoral ni Apollo Quiboloy. Bago po siya magsimula, I would like everyone to listen to this video, to watch this video. Si Ms. Teresita, si Ms. Ging, ang pinapatungkulan dito, but it will also give a sense of the threats that victim survivors face from within the kingdom. Open source po itong video na ito. In fact, galing sa public channel ni Pastor dati. So, ipe-play na po natin ngayon para mapanood nating lahat.
She contacted someone named Teresita Valdehuesa, who was a former worker here in the kingdom, who committed lapses of fornication with many ministers and men. That is why she was supposed to be disciplined, but she went out. This Alina Ostapchenko is saying things against me, and we were able to do record every bit of what she said. Listen to her voice. Everything that you have said to Teresita Valdehuesa, who is a former worker here, who also backslid because of some lapses in immorality, will give you a sample of her voice that was recorded. Go.
I'm fine, dear. I remember you, Bayo. And I'm so glad that I'm already out of the kingdom. And it's a miracle that how I exit from there. Because the time, kasi I was so fanatic before. But when, time passed, I realized many things I can also share with you if you like. Ask me if I'm ready to dedicate my life. I said yes, because for me, I was thinking dedicate to God, so I never think about other stuff. And suddenly, he was on me already, and he was trying to pull my pants already off. And then things started to happen, and I understand that, oh my goodness, it's like I have to switch off my mind. I will not question, I will not ask if it's Father's will in my mind. That time, I will just not try not to feel anything like that. And because I was shocked by what's happening in the room.
You have to prove that in court, because this is an international ministry and I have an international reputation. You will be sued by the kingdom in all places that you've called. We will not let this pass. Teresita Valdehuesa will be part of this. So better get your lawyers and defend yourself. We have lawyers all over the world. Wherever there is a kingdom, we have a general counsel in the name of Attorney Michael Green. In America, we have 18 lawyers who are observing all the happenings in the kingdom. We have financial consultants. We have lawyers who will defend the kingdom wherever it is being attacked.
For the record po, yung pastoral na binanggit dito, si Ms. Alina, she gave her consent also to the playing of this video in this hearing. So, Ms. Teresita, meron po kayong testimonyang hinanda. Pwede nyo na pong basahin. You have the floor.
Good morning po, Madam Chair, Honorable Senator Riza Hontiveros, and to Honorable Senator Francisco Tolentino, and to all the members of this august body. I come here today to share the truth that has been silenced for 3 decades because of great fear, and this is also on behalf of the many victims who have suffered in silence just like I have. I believe my testimony reflects their pain, struggles, and resilience. While I understand that this is aimed to aid in legislation, I am also grateful to be given this opportunity to inform those who still believe that Apollo Quiboloy has been innocent of the crimes he is accused of, because he has never been. At the age of 17, I became a member of the church led by this man, Apollo Quiboloy, in 1918. I was a freshman student. I was eager and active in the community, even spending a significant portion of my college years living at the parsonage where he resided. In 1988, I made a difficult decision of my life to dedicate this to his ministry, driven by the belief that true fulfillment and salvation lay in serving God fully. This choice meant leaving behind my family, my career, and the person I once was. Despite the resistance of family and friends, I pursued my conviction. I joined a pioneering group that struggled to meet basic needs, but my desire to serve God fueled my persistence. Over time, I gained his trust and became a respected worker within the ministry. As the ministry grew, so did our blessings. We experienced answered prayers and expanding membership, which deepened our commitment to serving God. Apollo C. Quiboloy, whom I revered, was considered as God anointed, and his words held absolute authority. I respected him deeply, viewing him as truly the man of God. From the moment I dedicated my life to the ministry until 1993, I experienced a profound spiritual awakenings. I felt forgiven, my love for God deepened, and I was proud to serve alongside a man I believed to be holy. But one day while in Manila, I received a long-distance call from him. He informed me that he had received a divine revelation intended for me and instructed me to travel to Cebu, where he would share this important message. He was also scheduled to preach in Cebu that Sunday. Upon arriving in Cebu City, we arranged for him to stay at the Park Place Hotel in Fuente Osmeña. That evening, he instructed me to remain in the hotel, while Nilda Linda, the assigned worker, returned to the worker's house. When we were alone, I asked if I could just sleep on the sofa as it was a suite room. Instead, he insisted that I would sleep beside him and even said in Bisaya, compatible gyud taging kay parehas man og color ang atong suot. Translated, we are compatible because our outfits are of the same colors. I was wearing red pajamas with white dots, while he was dressed in a red t-shirt and white pants coincidentally. His words made me feel uneasy and quite nervous, and I saw a different personality in him. But I was quick to dismiss that unusual feeling. And because I had previously witnessed Ingrid Canada or ICC, Teresita Dandan, TTD, and Velina Salinas slept in his room alternately, it led me to believe that it was just normal and harmless. Moreover, we had been conditioned to suppress any negative thoughts about him. We were warned that any suspicion on him would reflect our own personality, using the words found in 1 Timothy chapter 1, verse 15, I quote, "To the pure, all things are pure, but to those who are corrupted and do not believe, nothing is pure. In fact, both their minds and consciences are corrupted," unquote. And in those days, absolute obedience was a must. We needed to have an unquestioned loyalty and reverence toward him. Sleeping beside a man I believed to be chosen by God was for me then a great privilege, an opportunity for a sinner like me. But what followed shattered my sense of faith and trust. Without a word, after turning off the light, he embraced me, undressed me, and violated me with his lustful act, and left me in shock and speechless. He then said, "This is the fulfillment of God's revelation." He explained that God had revealed to him that I was to partake in God's life through him by surrendering my body, soul, and spirit. He also mentioned that other girls would go through him in a similar manner. His words were strange, but I was too shocked to respond. The following day after that Sunday worship service, Apollo C. Quiboloy left for Manila, while I was left to carry on with my duties, including organizing carolers for our annual fundraising. Confusion consumed me. I felt betrayed by my faith, by him, and even perhaps by myself. I began questioning whether what had happened was indeed God's will or simply a gross abuse of power. When I returned to Manila, I was once again instructed to sleep in his room. Fear gripped me, but defying the anointing of God was unthinkable. We had been taught that such disobedience would invite a curse. The next morning, he asked if I understood God's revelation. I remained silent, unable to process what had happened. He then referenced me to Philippians chapter 2, verses 6 to 12, explaining that just as Jesus humbled himself and obeyed God, even to the point of death, so he too must obey God's will by partaking in carnal things. He claimed this was necessary for him to understand the human experience and to fully empathize with others. He even told me that he had also been reluctant to accept God's revelation, but as God's chosen one, he had no choice but to act on it. I was more confused with his explanation, but I could not complain. I wanted to go out from the ministry, but I lacked courage. I did not know where to ask help. I had cut all the bridges behind my life, and I could hardly go back because it would mean starting all over again. My family was poor, and I had no connections. My option was to stay because I was still bothered with what if it was indeed God's will? December of the same year was an escape for me. Caroling as one of our sources of funds, and which had been participated in by every member of the ministry all over the country, became my excuse of staying away from the worker's house in Manila where he stayed. In January 1994, I was in his room with Ingrid Canada, the international coordinator of the church, Tessie Dandan, the national administrator for the church in the Philippines, and Felina Salinas, his personal assistant. During that...
Miss Teresita, before you continue po, yung nabanggit nyo ng 2 beses, Ingrid Canada, nandito po ba siya sa harapan ninyo?
Yes, patabi po siya ni Mr. Quiboloy.
Sila po, yung nagtaas ng kamay. All right, salamat po. Please proceed, Miss Teresita.
During that meeting, he informed the girls that I would be included in the inner circle. Right there and then, I realized that these women had likely endured similar experiences. Without any words, we shared a mutual understanding. None of us dared speak about what had happened to us. In February 1994, I was sent to Hong Kong, still carrying all the confusions and emotional turmoil. Despite this, I continued to pretend that everything was fine. When one of our musicians, JC Pangilinan, was scheduled to return to the Philippines, I seized the opportunity to send a personal letter to ACQ. In that letter, I poured out my feelings, openly expressing my emotional distress. I was honest about how deeply shocked I was to learn of his life beyond the pulpit. The man I had revered as a holy figure was in reality an ordinary mortal, one who had exploited my genuine commitment and dedication to God. My faith wavered, and everything I had once believed was shattered. I prepared myself for a harsh response, expecting a violent reaction from him. To my surprise, there was none. Instead, I was sent back here. Upon my return, I was even more surprised to learn that I had been promoted. I was appointed National Crusade Coordinator, National Logistics Coordinator, and Luzon Area Administrator all at once. This was a sudden and significant promotion from every previous role. By God's grace, I excelled in all my assigned tasks. Despite this, fear gripped me every time Apollo Quiboloy would come to Manila. My only relief was when one of the girls would accompany him, giving me an excuse not to sleep with him. I kept myself busy, visiting satellite churches to distract my confusion and agony. One day, ICC confronted me saying, ACQ sensed my distance. I made my work an excuse. February 15, 1998, ACQ used me again. It was always out of fear that I obeyed, a fear mixed with anxiety that he might knew how I pretended to be extremely grateful that he allowed me to be a part of his physical life, because in all honesty, and God truly knew I was not. All the pent-up emotions suffocated me, that on the following day, while preparing for church, I collapsed. ACQ performed mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, but later I learned, he told others, that it was just a way for me to seduce him, labeling me as Jezebel the temptress. I believe Apollo carrying Quiboloy understood that I never wanted the life he was trying to impose on me. My decision to dedicate my life to God's service was driven by a sincere desire for spiritual purification from the sins I had committed before becoming a full-time worker. I had only one goal: to live a holy life and ultimately to attain heaven. As the Bible says in Colossians chapter 3, verse 5, I quote, "Put to death, therefore, whatever belongs to your earthly nature: sexual immorality, impurity, lust." But how could I achieve this with the circumstances that I was in? Disobedience and complaints were never an option. Anyone who did so was labeled as carnal, as someone who did not overcome the flesh. Everything was always twisted. One day, she said, "Sir has noticed that you've been distant." I made up excuses, trying to avoid the truth. I had been telling Tracy and Dan that I was extremely exhausted. She presumed that I was just too focused on my responsibilities, especially in the logistics department. I was always pressured to meet my 15 million quota. Every December on caroling season, if ever the sense that there was really something wrong with my belief, I was instructed to prepare my documents for my USA visa, and I believe realization came later when I already left from his group, that it was also to distance me from the workers and members here, that I might be able to tell his dark secret. I never wanted to go to America because inside of me were unresolved spiritual issues, confused mind that bothered me always. But my visa was approved. I didn't know that I was to lead and plan for the fundraising to be done in America, and we would employ the same strategy of our money making here in the country. In America, I witnessed the double standard life. What we prohibited in the Philippines, we did them there. We lived in luxury. We toured around. We dined in fine and expensive restaurants. We watched movies. Sky's the limit when they went shopping. I decided to stay in the apartment where the minister and his family lived. Despite the insistence of ICC to stay with them, I refused. I made a lot of excuses. Sapagkat, hindi ko po natin na kaming nasa Amerika ay masyadong nagpakasasa sa paggasta sa pera, na masyadong pinaghirapan ng mga kapatiran at ng mga full-time workers. Bilang namuno po sa crusades, evangelism at logistics departments, saksi po ako kung paano nagsakripisyo ang bawat isa para lang makapagbigay sa iba't ibang pangangailangan sa simbahan. Nakita ko na kahit pambili ng bigas ng membro, kailangan sakripisyo pa para lang maibigay sa simbahan, kahit gugutumin pa ang mga pamilya. Nasaksihan ko po na kahit last centavo para pamasahe, kailangang ibigay pa rin. Bahala nang maglakad papuntang simbahan ang mga mahihirap na membro. Hindi kinaya ng aking konsensya ang double standard life. Maraming workers ang napalo dahil sa panunood na ng sine, pero kami sa Amerika, halos linggo-linggo nanood ng sine, bawal sa amin ito dati. Naghirap ang maraming workers at members sa pagkaruling at pagsulisit sa bawat tao sa lahat ng dako dito sa ating bansa. May namatay, may na-aksidente, may nakulong, may mga na-rape pa na hindi na na-report. Dahil baka hindi paniwalaan at baka makapag-fasting pa dahil may kasalanan na itinago, kaya napahintulutang nangyari. Lahat may kota, di ba? Napakasakit po sa damdamin ko dahil ako po ang namuno sa mga fundraisings. After December season, ang mga members kailangan magtinda ng mga kakanin para maibigay sa mga pledges for Alay kay Kristo, building funds, love offerings, television pledges, tithes, and others. And when they could not provide for their own foods, they would just resort to fasting. Meron din pa akong quota, 10 to 15 million pesos to raise in the month of December alone. I organized the carolers nationwide to meet my quota. We recruited and trafficked our young people from Mindanao and Visayas to carol in the provinces of Luzon and in the national capital region cities. Marami pong estudyante na Nobyembre pa lang kailangan nang mag-absent sa paralan at ang iba hindi na nakabalik sa pag-aaral dahil inuna ang simbahan, inuna ang pagkaroling, inuna ang paghanap ng pera. But nobody questioned where our income was spent. Sa mga buwan ng Pebrero hanggang Oktubre, ang ibang workers na nasa logistics department kailangan mag-solicit na naman throughout the country using the permits of the different associations, Pag-asa ng Buhay, Children's Way Foundation, Tulong sa May Kapansanan, Handog ng Pagmamahal, Pagdamay sa Dukha, Shivers for Christ. The supposed income na dapat ibigay sa mga beneficiaries sa mga nasabing associations, hindi naman talaga truthfully and honestly na ibigay. Only a little portion of the income was shared to the beneficiaries. Ang ibang workers naman, walang hinto sa pagtinda rin ng mga kakanin na may quota of 500 to 1,000 pesos a day, Monday to Saturday. Ito ang buhay ng mga workers na nasa logistics department. In America, they began to notice my indifference. ICC called my attention, stating there were reports from my assistant in the logistics department in Manila that I had secretly sent money to my family. Then,
the urban jungle. From smooth highways to rough dirt and gravel, your engine must perform on unpredictable road conditions. Zic Urban ProTech, engineered to protect your engine against the challenges of urban driving. Zic.
Not enough. I was then forced to write a long letter of confession, making it appear that I was a sinner who committed all kinds of sins, including those I had committed before joining the ministry. I complied, believing that through this written confession, I would be totally forgiven from my old sins and burdens and be completely sanctified. In detail, I wrote everything I thought was considered sin I had committed from childhood until the present. I also implicated ACQ in my sins. It had the same tenor of the letter I wrote in Hong Kong in 1994. And this time, he was furious. Then ICC instructed me to revise my letter. I was told not to implicate ACQ and to state that I was the sole sinner and I was filthy. Upon realizing how angry ACQ was, I revised my letter out of fear and stated that I had sinned because I truly was filthy. In detail, I imagined sins.
Ms. Teresita, yung paulit-ulit yung binabanggit na ICC, sino po yun?
Ingrid Chavez Canada.
Sila pa rin po. All right. Please proceed.
In detail, I imagined sins and I made it appear that I had committed them all. That was how stupid I was to obey and exaggerate my story. Just to appease the anger of our leader, Apollo C. Quiboloy, not knowing it would become my death sentence later. My exaggerated story was then distributed to all his leaders and ministers, and they believed I was filthy, I was pervert, and I was wicked, painting me as the sole guilty party, while ACQ remained innocent. Little did I know this confession would lead to my condemnation within the ministry.
And Mr. Resita, pag sinasabi nyo ACQ, sino po yun?
Apollo Carrion Quiboloy po.
Alright.
October 15, 1998. I was sent back here to receive a punishment through prayer and fasting in the guise of spiritual discipline. And the fasting they planned for me was beyond my imagination. It took me 7 months to suffer hunger and isolation in the mountain of Tamayong in Kalinan, Davao City. They placed me in a small, dark, elevated room beside a kitchen, separated only by a macan walls. My bed was rough, made of uneven slabs, with exposed nails pressing into my back as I slept. I woke up this morning in pain, with no beddings, and the cold October nights left me shivering. I requested a blanket and a mat, but I was denied. Every day from 8 to 5 p.m., I followed a strict routine, regardless of the weather, enduring hunger and isolation. No one allowed near me, as I was labeled filthy and deserving of this punishment. Members were forbidden to speak to me. I was physically very weak and so depressed. I prayed that God would just take my life. Ilang beses po ako nanalangin na sana kunin na lang ako ng Panginoon. I started to question God and wondered if this was truly a divine process or simply human punishment. I asked myself, is this ACQ's way of retaliating because I rejected the life he imposed on me? It felt like vengeance and disguised as spiritual discipline. My only solace came from reading the Word of God from Genesis to Revelation over and over again. Every day was a struggle of faith. I struggled to believe that the process was still the perfect will of God for me. I struggled to believe that I really was a sinner and that I was recuperating from my spiritual disease for the lack of faith. That was to justify my present pains and to at least lighten my burden of loneliness. On January 8, 1999, I gave ACQ a resignation letter and I requested for a fare so that I can travel back to my home in my province. He did not approve my resignation letter. I pleaded to Ingrid, and like a child, I cried for help. But she remained untouched, telling me that it was a divine process. After that conversation, misery doubled. I had no money, and I was still physically weak, so there was no way for me to go out from the compound of the prayer mountain. Waiting for the restoration was the only alternative at the moment. If not for the comforting words of God, surely I would be totally gone out of my mind. They continually accused me of sins they alone knew, unimagined, that would always lead me into fasting. It eventually hardened my heart because I started to realize that the purpose of doing it was to totally break me down and to even slowly kill me. I no longer saw the reason to stay. I submitted my resignation as a full-time volunteer worker for the second time. But Apollo Carrion Quiboloy refused it again. A week later, on September 30, 1999, I decided to leave without asking for permission, determined to free myself from his control. It was only when I left out of the group, that I finally clearly understood that the man I had believed to be God's chosen and holy was an impostor, oppressor, and deceiver. He manipulated me using his authority and power as God's anointed. I thank God that he took me out from his bondage, from that ambiguous feeling of fear mingled with so much love and loyalty to my Redeemer, Jesus Christ. But he was not finished with me and did not stop terrorizing me. Alex Camia, his personal bodyguard, a full-time worker, once known to be a champion in gun shooting before he joined the group of ACQ, together with his team, kept coming to my place to harass me, serving a fake warrant of arrest to a minister who stayed in my house. This minister settled in my place after he was gunned down in Davao City but survived. The team of Alice Camia was apprehended, and when investigated, they had several firearms in the car, several plate numbers, and there was also a red plate. The registered owner of the car was Apollo C. Quiboloy. Because of their failure to serve the warrant of arrest, they blamed me for hiding the minister and filed cases against me of obstructing justice and grave misconduct and an act unbecoming of a public official. After that incident, I heard that Alex Camia was the suspect of the murder of an ex-worker who was shot down inside his home, and this ex-worker did not survive. I was scared to death when I heard this news. My option was to remain silent because killing could have actually happened when Camia and his group came to my place. There was also an ex-worker, Elsa Bolivar, who was a senior citizen, a woman shot dead while she was in her garden in Tagum City. I was so hysterical when pictures of her bullet-ridden body were sent to me because she had just visited me in my place before it happened. Fear consumed me, and I remained silent. 3 years ago, nagkausap po kami ni Alex Camia. Humingi po siya ng kapatawaran at nagsabi na siya ay nautusan lang po na kailangan din akong iligpit. Pinaniwala po siya na ako ay may malaking kasalanan at ako ay napakasamang babae. Nang tinanong ko kung ano ang aking kasalanan, sinabihan daw siya na tinukso ko raw si Apollo Cayon Quiboloy. Nakiapi daw ako sa mga ministro. Narinig naman po ninyo yung sa video. Nakipagtalik daw ako mismo doon sa workers' house at nagnakaw daw ako ng 3 million pesos. He even said in Bisaya, di ba nagtugot man ang Ginoo pagpatay sa dautan? Doesn't God permit the killing of the wicked? Doon ko lang naintindihan na kailangang i-declare ni Apollo Quiboloy sa lahat ng mga workers at members na ako'y makasalanan at napakasamang babae para magiging makatwiran ang lahat ng parusa na binigay sa akin at magiging makatwiran din kung bakit ako kailangang patayin. Apollo Quiboloy called me Jezebel, the temptress, using his pulpit to broadcast how filthy and evil I was. This became a pattern. Kung may mga workers na may alam sa kaniyang buhay, sa sikretong buhay at aalis sa kanyang kingdom, sila ay akusahan na napakaraming kasalanan. He would always exaggerate their weaknesses at ipaniwala sa mga workers at members na sila ay umalis dahil may mga marumi at mga napakasamang mga tao. His followers only heard his side of the story, which was always filled with lies and twisted truths. The other side, our side, was never heard and was never allowed to be heard. They only believed whatever he fed them and even defended him and attacked those who defied their leader without investigating the truthfulness of the circumstances. Nakita naman po siguro natin kung paano siniraan ng mga workers at defenders ni Apollo Quiboloy ang mga testigo dito. Mga napakasamang descriptions para lang ipahiya ang mga nagsalita ng kanilang mga karanasan sa loob ng kanilang kingdom. Mga salitang hindi nababagay sa mga tinatawag na mga citizen ng kingdom of Jesus Christ. Their intention is only to demoralize and warn others of the consequences of defiance. Last August 2021, during one of his television programs, he once again maligned me, broadcasting nationally and internationally that I was a fornicator and an immoral woman, which we have just watched. Madam Chair, I would like to remind Mr. Quiboloy to remember the biblical stories about the lives of King Nebuchadnezzar, King Sennacherib, and King Herod. All of them fell into the hands of the Lord. Nebuchadnezzar, you know that, was separated from his people and lived like a beast and ate grass for 7 years. King Sennacherib died a tragic death, murdered by his own sons. King Herod was struck by the angel of God, died, and his body was eaten by worms. Their sin was that they replaced God with themselves, considering themselves as gods and blaspheming the one true God. This is all, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Salamat po, Ms. Teresita, sa testimonya mo. Kahit kailangan mong iyakan para basahin sa amin. Bago yung isa munang follow-up question ko sa inyo, gusto kong i-acknowledge yung presensya online ni Senator Cynthia Villar. Salamat, Senator Cynthia, sa pagdalo nyo. At ang Minority Leader, Senator Coco Pimentel. Salamat kaayo sa pagdalo. Kung walang opening statement si Senator Coco at si Senator Cynthia, bago yung interjection ni Majority Leader sa Department of Justice, isang mabilis na follow-up question sa ngayon, Ms. Teresita o Ms. Ging, Ate Ging, just for the record, guilty ba kayo dun sa mga krimen na inakusa sa inyo, yung pagnakaw ng 3 million pesos, yung pag-fornicate sa iba pang mga ministro? Guilty ba kayo sa mga iyon?
Of course not.
All right. Salamat kaayo. Majority Leader, for your interjection with the
Thank you, Madam
DOJ.
Chair. Nothing to do with the previous testimony. Magpapaalam po kasi ako kasi magsasalita po ako sa Liga ng mga Barangay and the Minority Leader is already here to fill up some legal questions likewise. But Madam Chair, before I leave, gusto ko lang tanungin ang, hindi ko kasi nakita kanina, dito pala ang Department of Justice relative to my previous questions answered by the DFA. This is speculative, academic, and purely legal. If, if an extradition request is lodged before the DFA, there is under the PD, which I cited before, a process which would necessitate the Department of Justice to file a petition. But that is another court. And that is another court which would constitute as the extradition court here in the Philippines. And if there is going to be an extradition hearing, the purpose is not to determine the guilt or innocence of the accused, but whether they would fall under the ambit of our extradition treaty. Is that correct? Who will answer? Attorney Torribillas or Attorney Quintana? Speculative lang ito. Ano lang to?
Senior State Counsel Quintana, I believe, Majority Leader.
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, sir. Good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning, Your Honor. As to the as to what will happen on, should the Department of Foreign Affairs later on receive a request for the extradition of Mr. Quiboloy and the present criminal cases are filed against him, the Philippines, as a requested state under the Philippines-U.S. extradition treaty, has the option to postpone the filing of the extradition case, in which case
Postpone.
only the filing, Your Honor.
But is the extradition court would be constituted here in the Philippines.
Yes, Your Honor.
Not necessarily the court where the hearing is being
Yes,
conducted.
it would be a separate separate proceeding, and as I mentioned, it might be postponed or we can accept the request and file the case in a separate extradition
It
case.
will not be a criminal court.
No, Your Honor. As you correctly pointed out earlier, the extradition court is not there to determine the guilt or innocence of the subject of the request.
Thank you, Attorney. But my second question is related to the first question and to the previous questions. The extradition shall not be granted under Article 4 when the person sought has been tried, convicted, or acquitted. Tama po ba yun? So pag may pending case na rito at mabilis yung proseso, conviction or acquittal, hindi na siya pwedeng i-extradite. Is that correct?
Your Honor, under Article 4, that may be a ground for refusal of the request for extradition, but that in that case, so Your Honor, ang ano po dun parang in effect parang double jeopardy. But in this instance po, there is no double jeopardy kasi po yung
Saying double jeopardy. One of the grounds for refusal would be when there has been a trial, conviction, or acquittal that's explicitly stated under Article 4 prior prosecution. Double jeopardy will not apply because of the concept of dual sovereignty. Am I correct?
yes, Your Honor.
So, ang tanong ko, mas makakabuti ba na mas mabilis ang trial sa Pasig, which would result in either conviction or acquittal, dahil hindi na pwedeng ma-extradite?
Sir, it's independent of the request for extradition. So regardless if the criminal cases are terminated, are expedited, it will not affect the extradition request.
Siguro, aralin niyo mabuti itong Section 1 ng Article 4. Parang very explicit naman ito. You still have time. Number 3 question, I learned that correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm sure you're following this through news accounts, that the Department of Justice of the United States dismissed the charges against a certain Miss Dueñas. Tama po ba yun?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, and this was just a few weeks ago.
Last week, Your Honor.
Last week.
October 7.
So, ang tanong ko rito, and this will probably be a lingering question, what would be the effect of the dismissal of the U.S. cases against, is Dueñas a miss or a male? Ano ba yan?
He.
Female? She? Female.
Female.
What would be the effect of the dismissal of the U.S. cases against Ms. Dueñas to the pending cases of Pastor Quiboloy in the Philippines, since some of the elements would be the same?
Your Honor, if I may defer to Prosecutor Torrevillas.
Torrevillas.
Deputy State Prosecutor Torrevillas, please.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning, Senator Tolentino. It will not affect the cases pending against Pastor Quiboloy, considering that Ms. Dueñas is not one of the accused in those cases.
One of the accused in cases pending before the Regional Trial Court here in Pasig or in the United States Department of Justice? Saan po? Saan jurisdiction?
Before the Regional Trial Court of Pasig and Quezon City, Mr. Senator.
So it won't affect.
Yes.
But there is an interrelationship between the elements involved in the U.S. cases and the Philippine cases. Tama po ba yan? And probably I'm not jumping the gun on what the defense counsels were doing. So walang effect. As I've said, this is just speculative.
It will not affect the cases pending before the Regional Trial Court of Quezon City and the Regional Trial Court of Pasig because Ms. Dueñas is not one of the accused, neither she one of the witnesses for the prosecution.
But some of the defendants in the case pending before the U.S. Department of Justice are likewise defendants, are accused here in the Philippines. And I understand there would be a second hearing come May 20 before the U.S. Department of Justice. Tama po ba yan?
I am not aware of that.
Okay. So paano naman kung yun ang magkaroon ng ibang desisyon while pending dito sa Pasig and Quezon City yung ibang kaso? Any speculative answer? O kung wala, mahirap na
It
siguro.
has no connection at all
connection
because,
at all.
opo.
Different jurisdictions, different elements. Again, Madam Chair, maraming salamat po sa pagbibigay sa akin ng pagkakataong makapagsalita. I reiterate again my earlier statements that respect and dignity should permeate the entire proceedings today. And I hope that the dignity of the Senate through this committee will be enshrined, Madam Chair. Maraming salamat po sa pagkakataong ito at maraming salamat sa mga resource persons natin na dumalo. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Dagang salamat.
Maraming salamat din po, Majority Leader, and of course, the Chair and the whole committee ay nakikiisa dun sa patuloy na pagtaguyod ng respeto at dignidad ng Senado at ng Senado para sa lahat ng lumalahok dito sa ating mga pagdinig. So, balikan po natin si Ms. Teresita, si Ate Ging, mga patuloy po na follow-up questions ko sa inyong testimonya kanina. So, batay po pa rin po dun sa testimonyang binasa nyo kanina. Anong taon nga po kayo sinimulang abusuhin ayon sa inyong testimony at alaala?
It was in October of 1993.
October of 1993. So, 31 years ago po.
Yes po.
Alright. Tapos ulitin ko lang po yung nabalitaan kong fasting o dry fast. So, hindi kayo pinakain, hindi kayo pinainom ng tubig. Ilang araw nga po ba ginawa ito sa inyo? At wala po bang kasamahan ninyo doon na sinubukang tulungan kayo?
Of course, nobody would ever dare help me because upon instruction na hindi nga ako and they were not even allowed to talk to me, nor even to come near to me. So actually there were two sets of fasting given to me. One set was, there was 10 days fasting. There was no food, no water. It was Ninit Ukyas who gave me the list of instruction, and number one in the list is to do dry fast for straight 10 days.
Sino po nagbigay ng instruction?
Ninit Ukyas.
Nenet Okyas.
Yeah.
Okay po.
And then, I only was able to eat a little amount of rice and viand on the 39th day because when you had fasted, hindi naman kailangan kakain ka agad. So there was water, then then lugaw, and then finally on the 39th day, that was the time I was able to eat rice. And then after that, there was that second round of fasting, which was even more miserable. It started on February 6, 1999, and there were other workers also. And that was very miserable because it was like this. We were given 5 days or sometimes 7 days. It was a kind of a series of fasting. The first, second, third days were for dry fasting, meaning you were not allowed to drink, of course, to eat food, dry foods. And on the fourth, sometimes it's water, sometimes it's sometimes it's lugaw. Then another 5 days, the same pattern. Sometimes it became 7. It ended on the it ended on the month of May because I have my diary on that.
So yung pangalawang dry fasting, 3 buwan na may iba't ibang klaseng fasting for 5 days or 7 days, 1 to 3 days na dry fasting.
Yes.
On the 4th day may tubig o yung yung pinakuluan ng sinaing, di ba? Yung pinapainom ng mga lolo't lola natin sa mga baby nung panahon ng World War II.
Yung sabaw ng ano po.
Sabaw.
lugaw.
Sabaw ng lugaw.
Yes po.
Or lugaw. So over 3 months, may ganitong series ng mga iba't ibang klase ng dry fasting.
Yes po. But I was together with other workers also because they were also punished, but I was the longest. I stayed there for the longest 3 months.
And yung una pong dry fast, yung unang set ng pagpapadry fast sa inyo na 10 araw, walang pagkain, walang tubig. 10 araw na walang tubig at 10 araw na walang pagkain?
Yes po, that's true.
Paano niyo po na-survive yun?
I did not even think I would survive.
Opo.
Because of course, the place is cold, was cold. And then every time in the morning when I took a bath, so parang doon ko na lang nalalasap yung tubig. Kaya I keep taking a bath 3 times a day.
Iniinom nyo na lang yung
Halos, hindi ko mainom
tubig
kasi
pampaligo.
natatakot ka namang baka masira yung tiyan mo. Parang ganun lang, parang
And after 39 days, ganun ulit, pinainom muna kayo ng tubig, ng and then pinakain ng lugaw, and finally, kanin.
yes, on the 39th day. But there was a month, I think it was month of December, may kinain na rin ako doon. Kaya lang, again, maybe they were not satisfied with the result. Maybe they wanted me to really slowly kill me. So again, I had another series of fasting that was, as what I have said, it started on February 6th and ended on the month of May.
During those 2 times po, yung dalawang set ng dry fasting, yung unang 10 araw at yung pangalawang umabot ng 3 buwan, nakakulong kayo noon or were you restrained in any way?
No, I was just there in the mountain, in the prayer mountain, not really kulong, but the place is big naman. So I had to go to the prayer house. I had to pray, I think, 3 times a day. 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 4 times a day. 4 and then 6 o'clock in the evening.
And kanina sabi nyo dun sa pangalawang set ng dry fasting sa inyo, over 3 months, may ibang workers pa kayong kasama, bagamat hindi sila kasing tagal na pinadry fast tulad ninyo. Bukod dyan sa pagpapadry fast, yung ganyang abuso sa inyo, meron ka bang na-witness na iba pang mga pang-aabuso sa iba pang workers?
Yes po. Actually, there were workers who were placed in a closed tent. Parang Bartolina, ang tawag namin doon, Bartolina. They were placed in a closed tent. There were even torches placed around because during the evening they would put fire on the torches, and then they put and peed inside the tent, closed tent. And then, of course, they suffered too much heat in daytime and the colds in the evening. But eventually, they managed to escape one by one. But the only one who survived, she was rescued because she was dehydrated already.
So the only one who survived, na-rescue,
Yeah, it was Lani Alfaro.
dehydrated, si Miss Lani Alfaro. Ano po nangyari dun sa ibang nag-escape dun sa mga tents na yon?
Actually, because there were ministers who were also used as their security guards, they were actually helped by the ministers to just escape.
So may mga minister din naman na naawa sa kanila at
Meron din po.
tinulungan silang makatakas.
Yes po.
Okay. Tapos, Ms. Teresita Atiging, tama po ba na naging subject kayo ng attempted assassination? Ito po ba yung sinabing ginawa ng angel of death?
Of course, I would really think that way because I was just a mere worker, a civilian, and then why would these people come to my place, bring those firearms? They were there, and if it was only to serve the warrant of arrest for my co-ministers, why would they have a backup car? Then I was made to believe that it was really their intention to harass me and to terrorize me in my place.
May dala po silang warrant of arrest? Saan
Yes.
galing po yung warrant na yun?
As I have stated, there was actually one minister who had a problem, no? Then he was gunned down in Davao City. Then I actually helped him settled in my place. And then
Ito po yung nag-survive ng assassination attempt.
survived. Then he was served by that warrant of arrest. And then, because he was in my house, I helped him actually.
So nung pumunta yung mga may dalang firearms at may backup vehicle, yung sineserve nilang warrant ay para dun sa nag-survive sa assassination attempt na kinupkup nyo.
Yes po, actually para sa kanya. But I was made to believe that ako rin, pwede rin nila akong patayin. Bakit? Because there was one time, there was, because that Alex Camia was with a policeman. Bakit kailangan nila akong parang i-scale sale nila yung opisina ko? Bakit parang tinitingnan nila kung nasaan ako doon? Kung ang gusto lang talaga, if they really wanted the warrant of arrest to be served with that person, why came to my office? For what? So
Yung Alex Camia ay may kasamang pulis o siya mismo ay pulis o PNP?
No, he was with a policeman, an official policeman during that time. At saka meron din po siyang kasamang siyempre driver. At saka, because I only learned later that there were 2 vehicles actually, but during those times, isa lang ang alam ko. Nung nakausap ko yung backup driver, kasi he is with me now, doon ko lang nalaman na may backup driver, may backup vehicle pala sila.
Ngayon, Ms. Teresita Atiging, pioneering member po kayo ng
Yes.
KOJC. Alam nyo rin po ba yung business model ng fundraising ninyo at paano ito nagsimula? Sinabanggit nyo, naging head kayo ng logistics, kayo po nag-organize ng mga caroling, yung mga solicitation. Paano po yun nagsimula at anong alam niyo dun sa kabuuang business model?
Yes po, the caroling really had become, or maybe has even until now become, one of the sources of funds in the ministry. In 1988, I was able to join here in Manila, and we were only caroling the cities within the cities of the NCR. But when I was given the opportunity to lead the fundraising, I made it nationwide. I actually organized the nationwide caroling, Madam Chair. Then what happened? I had every province, I had leaders overseeing 70 to 100 carolers, including adults who would be cooking and washing their clothes. And in the NCR alone, we had, I think, 13 leaders overseeing 20 to 30 members also, do caroling from 8 o'clock in the morning to sometimes 10 o'clock in the evening, going around the cities of Manila, just caroling all the people here in the Metro Manila. Then, because I had a quota of, it started with 10 million until it became 15 million. Of course, they also had a quota. I also gave them the quota to meet my total quota of 15 million.
So, sa bawat probinsya, nung ginawa nyo ng nationwide yung caroling, di na lang sa NCR, may isa kayong leader na bawat isa.
Guys, we're here at Winford Resort in Manila. I am excited. Let's go inside.
Hours a day sila, pwedeng nagka-carol, nag-fundraise 8 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Yes po.
Ganun po katagal. Alright, dagang salamat, Ms. Teresita Atiging. Please stay on sa hearing natin dahil yung mga kasama kong senador, mga kauban ko, including our minority leader, may have questions for you. Yes, the minority leader would like to interject now. You have the floor, Senator
Okay,
Coco.
Ma'am Ging, no? So, dito lang ako nababahala sa sinabi mo na dry fasting,
Yes
2
po.
times ang experiences mo. And sa experience mo, it was a form of punishment.
Very much a form of punishment. But it was actually a disguise like a spiritual discipline on me.
Okay, but
Because
pero it was presented still as a disciplinary measure.
Yes po.
But have you seen dry fasting as a form of a ritual or not as a form of a punishment? Is it also practiced there?
Actually, there were 2 meanings, no? Of course, when we were instructed to do dry fasting, we would always consider it as our sanctification, as our cleansing on us, because we would always believe that we were always made to believe that we were sinners, and we do accept that we were sinners. So we had to go through fasting.
In the two particular, sa mention mo kasi dalawa, ang particular
Yes po.
cases, hindi ko na matandaan yung mga months. Pero in your particular case, punishment.
At first, I did not consider it as punishment.
No, wag yung consider. How was it presented to you? You have to undergo dry fasting as a punishment?
Spiritual discipline on the first, talaga spiritual discipline.
Kung andun yung discipline, punishment. Diba? Okay. Yung
Yes.
pangalawa,
Yes po.
yung pangalawa, was it what? A punishment also, yung pangalawa?
Mas lalong punishment on the second round. Maybe
Okay.
because they saw me alive still and still kicking. It was not their intention to really see me alive.
Okay.
That's why I had my second series of fasting.
But sa observation mo, tagal ka dyan sa kingdom meron, you also undergo fasting as a part of a ritual, not as a punishment. Tama?
Yes, there were many times.
As severe as dry fasting?
No, mine was actually was the worst.
Yun yung mga fasting na alam natin, yung babawasan
Yes,
mo lang yung
yes,
quantity ng kakainin mo, siguro ganun, ano?
Yes,
Yun ba yung meaning ng, yun yung sa ritual?
Yes,
Okay.
ritual.
Ngayon sa karanasan mo, ikaw kasi obviously nag-survive ka nung dry fasting mo as punishment eh. Sa personal knowledge mo, meron kayong kasama sa KOJC na nag-suffer ng masamang consequence as a result of dry fasting as a form of punishment?
Wala naman akong
Wala kang
alam
alam. Okay.
because I left 1993, 1999
you
pa
left
po.
1993? When did you leave?
1999 pa po.
1999. Sige po. Pero sabi mo, founding member ka, so, pero wala kayong nakita pala. Okay, except sa,
So far, wala.
kasi sana, kung meron, i-encourage natin sila ngayon na magreklamo sila because this might be a violation of the revised penal code. How is it enforced pala? How is it enforced? Sabi mo kasi sa Prayer Mountain, you're free to roam around eh. Pwede kang gumalaw. So paano kung super gutom ka na? Can you cheat? Can you cheat on the dry fasting punishment?
We were tempted to do that, but because we were so afraid, baka madagdagan pa yung araw pag malaman.
Okay, meron kang kinikwento na although hindi ikaw yung involved, sabi mo lang na may close tent, may mga ganon. Tapos may mga ministro na sila na mismo nagpatakas doon sa mga pinapunish, no? So naawa na rin siguro sila na baka napaka-severe ng mga punishment. But you did not experience that eh, kaya medyo ano yan. Did you actually witness it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then did the ministers actually tell you na pinatakas namin ito si...
No, I was just told after those incidents when they got connected to me.
So kasi ang lumalabas na issue dito, Madam Chair, is if there is a religious group or an organized group na meron silang system of punishment, baka yung mga severity naman ng mga punishment, baka some of these punishments already cross the line, ano? Na they may amount to already violation of the revised penal code. Sige. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you also, Minority Leader. So, Mr. Resita, Atiging, again, salamat kaayo and please stay on for the rest of our hearing, lalo na kung may ibang mga issues na ma-raise na gusto rin naming itanong sa inyo. At this point po, our next witness is Yulia Tartova, a former pastoral and victim survivor of sexual abuse at the hands of Apollo Quiboloy. She's joining our hearing live from Ukraine. Just to refresh our memory, let's listen to Yulia's video. And after that, she is here to answer any other questions that we might have. So let's just view again Yulia's video at that time as Elias Sofia.
I was about 21 years old. It was 2014. And where did you stay? I stay in a dorm, like a building, a separate building. And most of the people there was Ukrainian. Tell me how your relationship with Pastor Quiboloy developed or unfolded. At first, our relationship was very good, very warm, very friendly. I didn't feel everything like, oh, he's like me. No, there's nothing about that. He transferred me in one room. I live with the Jack Roy. she's pastoral in one of the closest, like she's very close to pastor, and I live with her in one room. And little by little, some girls like Jack Roy and other girls of pastorals are Filipino. They used to fellowship to me like, "Are you ready to sacrifice everything to God, to the Father?" Like pastor, of course I already sacrificed. I leave my job, I leave my school, I leave my friends and my parents. I already sacrificed a lot of. So what do you mean? I cannot understand, because I already sacrificed, and it's the life that I choose and I live, and I believe that this is God's way for me. So, and they were just like, even your body you can sacrifice. When he see that there is no Ukrainian girls and I'm alone, so he start more and more to talk to me. Are you want to sacrifice? Are you want to sacrifice everything, even your body? I'm very innocent. I really didn't. Nobody talked to me like straightly that this is what will happen. And I remember that time came, and Atejak came to me in the night, and she said, "I want you to massage pastor's feet before he sleep." When Atejak called me for night to massage him, I didn't think that this is what will happen, even though I was nervous. And she saw that I'm crying, but I'm still do what they want me to do. I wake up, I put this pajama and I'm crying, I'm scaring, and it's night, and they put me, because I never stay in the pastor alone in the night, in the dark, and I was nervous. It was big room, and before room there is a little room. So Atejak lead me there, and she said, "Go in pastor's room." And I just stayed in this little room because I was scary and I was crying, and pastor was waiting for me till he realized that I'm not coming, and he by myself went out and pulled me in his room. And I was like scary, and he said like, "Massage my feet here, here, here," and then little by little, and I was very nervous, and it was dark, and suddenly he started to move my hands to put on his. He said, "Massage here," and I said, "Oh my God, okay," and I massaged. And after that, little by little, he just turned to me and he removed my clothes. And I even can, because I was very shocked. I was like, I cannot explain, because I was nervous. This is what happened. He just removed my clothes and have.
Women below the age of 18 years old, were they also being used?
Yeah, I didn't know about this for how many years till before I left Philippines. I heard from other, like, she's very close to pastor. She grew up with him. She's a senior there, and she's pastoral. And I heard that, "Oh, you're crying," because I was complaining about this pastoral's ministry. And she said, "Oh, you're crying that you're pastoral. At least you're mature, but I become a pastoral in 12 years old." This is time when I was like shocked. The next day when I heard this, that become a pastoral and 12 years old, I started to fight with pastor and ask why. Is it normal?
Miss Yulia? Miss Yulia, I think your audio is still muted. Could you please unmute?
Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Miss Yulia. Thank you for joining us in the hearing.
Thank you.
Can
for
you hear
inviting me.
us?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Miss Yulia. Before some of my follow-up questions about your the previous video and also with your presence with us today, could I just quickly ask, in the video you mentioned Jack Roy. Can you confirm if she is here today in the hearing? If she is to the right or to the left of Pastor?
I cannot hear.
You
See
cannot
the
see?
video. Yeah, but she's present there. I saw her.
She's present. Is she to the right or to the left of Pastor?
I don't remember. I have to check.
You cannot see the video of the
Yeah.
there.
She's yeah.
Can you confirm where if Jack Roy is
Right
here?
between Attain Grid and Ipaw.
So is she the one on camera right now with glasses?
Yes, yes, she's the one.
So that's the Jack Roy you mentioned in your previous video.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Miss Julia. How many Ukrainian pastorals did Quiboloy have when you were there?
It's about 10, I think.
10. All right, including yourself. So 10. You and about nine
Yeah,
others.
about 10. Yeah, not if I will count. Yeah, it's about 10.
About 10. All right. And what do you think would happen if you refuse to have sex with Apollo Quiboloy? What do you think would happen?
Actually, we try to avoid this kind of service, but because when you believe that he is the Son of God, and you will do whatever he wants us to do. And if you afraid, like if you will try to, excuse me, I didn't practice my English for a very long time.
It's all right.
If you will try to deny, they will punish you. And there is a lot of really psychological instrument that they will use on you, that even one day will not be enough to mention everything. They will punish and call us, scold us for a meeting, and put us in shame, that saying that we are ungrateful because pastor give us everything, and you just don't want to give, sacrifice your body like Jesus Christ sacrificed. And of course, they always will use the Bible as an instrument to convince us to do it. And they always, in the same time, they want us to feel, to twist our mind, to feel that this kind of service, it's a very big privilege. So we will be willing to do it with our will. So he will say that there, because nobody can deny that there is a pastoral ministry, even Mr. Quiboloy himself. And everybody knows that only girls and young and beautiful women are included there. And everybody knows, nobody can deny, even the full-time workers, that we all live separate from any others, under the same roof. Our rooms are next to him, so he have free access to every room, to to each room, and nobody can nobody know his life behind the door. That's why there's no full-time workers that know what is happening there. So when you try to, like for example, there was several times that I tried to deny this ministry of sleeping with him, because we have a schedule, like, and he will be the one to put the schedule. Who will be the one tonight? And Jack Roy, in my time, it was her ministry to invite girls to pastor's room. And actually to invite the girls to this ministry, to pull them in his room. And
Miss Julia, you told us something very important. You said that nobody can deny that there was such a thing as a pastoral ministry. You told us that twice. And you said that if you refused to give those kinds of service, that sexual service, as you tried to do several times, that you would be punished, including
Yeah,
through psychological instruments. Yes, you
yeah,
said that they
yeah.
they could try to twist your mind. Uh, what kind of psychological punishments and what other kinds of punishments did they impose on you if you tried to deny this kind of sexual service?
Like as I said, there was a schedule, and there is one time I tried to deny it because uh, one day he said that I will change my rule, so I will not be the one to call you. Who will be the one tonight to present yourself to me? But I want you to be voluntarily to come to the judge and to put yourself in the list. And me and some other Ukrainian girls whom I know, we like said like we never go and put our names in the schedule. And then because he said, Mr. Quiboloy said that I want to see those who are really doing that willingly and who is not. And me and some other girls have a separate room on pastoral ministry. And after he wait 1 week, 2 weeks, or about 1 month, I don't remember exactly, but there is such a time that nobody from us asked to do this ministry. And then he started to come by himself. Like, for example, he had the key of each room, and just in the middle of the night, he come to my room and have sex with me. Then and you cannot run away. You cannot say I don't want, because if you say I don't want, he said you didn't overcome your flesh, and if you will not obey, you will go to hell, like things like that. And other night I like we have all dinner together, and I feel that by the way he look at me, I understand that this night he might come. So I didn't sleep in my room. I go in other room, and in the middle of the night, he was looking for me, and he find me in girls in the room. The girls live all together. So because in my mind, I thought that he will not come if we are many, but he come and he said, "You have 5 minutes to come back in your room. And if you will not come, you will have a problem in the morning." So different kind of instrument they used. I know there is, like, for example, other girls who said that, and also me, I use this as an instrument. Like, for example, it's the time to serve, and I will say I cannot do it because I have menstruation, and because we are mature, they didn't do these cruel things that they have done to the girls that they're younger. So Atjag came to the girls and said, "I want to check your panty, if there is napkin or not." And the girls just remove their pants to prove that they're not lying. So of course he know that we are not willing that to do it, and we are forcing that to do, and we don't want to do it. But
Yes.
he likes the most girls he like. It's those who try to deny, because he said, "I want you to overcome your flesh. I want you to be on the next spiritual level when flesh are nothing to you." Like, for example.
And after all, you said that Pastor had free access to the rooms. He even had keys to the rooms. So about the schedule that you mentioned, Miss Julia, do you mean Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday? It was a young girl or a young and beautiful woman. No rest day. Every day there was somebody scheduled.
Yeah, there's for every night he never stay alone. And all the girls that were living in pastoral area, they like they have this kind of ministry. Someone have just several times to experience that, and some have to do it like all the time, like almost every week.
And you also mentioned another important thing earlier, Miss Yulia, that nobody, even some of the full-time workers, nobody knows pastor's life behind those doors, behind the doors of the pastorals. You also mentioned Jack or Jacqueline Roy as your groomer. How did she groom you?
At first, it's a long story because in order to do it, it's not a very quick way. So I will try to make it short.
Yes,
Like
please.
when I was in transfer to a pastoral area and I started to live with Atejak, I was very new. I even didn't know English, any word of English. And he was very in hurry to pull me in pastoral to pastoral ministry. And there was one time at the jug it was night, and she called me and she said like he wants to talk to you. And I came to his room and he have Russian Bible. He opened Russian Bible and because he cannot talk to me in English. And he said, I want you to read this verse in Russian. So I opened this Bible and there was a verse, I don't know how to say it in English, translate in English. It's about, there's a scripture about to sacrifice your body. And he was trying to ask me, are you
The urban jungle. From damage caused by idling to heavy load of accelerating, your engine must be strong enough to handle high demands. Zic Urban ProTech, engineered to protect your engine against the challenges of urban driving. Zic.
hide myself there, and I was just crying because I was thinking how to go home. I get a problem, and who can help me to go out of this? And then when it's already morning, of course I have to appear where I cannot stay there forever. And when I come back to the room, Atejak was very mad to me, and they said that you run away from him, you don't have any respect to the Son of God, and they like start to let me feel that I'm guilty. And then I guess they realized that it's too early for me. I'm not ready yet. I'm not still not brainwashed that I can do it. So they explained that. They called me again and they said, "You don't worry. This is you," because they saw my reaction. They know that they cannot do it. I will just go away. And they said, "You don't worry. You help me this word.
Misunderstood?
You misunderstood. He just want to try your faith, to know if your motive of coming here are really real. And they again use the verse of the Bible when the Abraham sacrificed his son. And he said it was just like what he used to you. And this example.
Miss Julia.
It comforted me, and I said, "Oh, okay," because and then I again start to think good about him. Then the next level, we have a dinner, like few maybe weeks again. The next level, we have a dinner, and I have trauma in my back, and I was just talking like I have pain in my back, and Mr. Quiboloy, he put a joke, as I thought in that time. He said, "Don't worry, I have a healing hand. I will do massage for you, and you will be healed." And I was just laughing or laugh because we thought it's a joke. But when the night came, in the middle of the night, Atachak came with pastor to my room, and I was just sleeping. And he said, you said you have back pain? He want to massage you. And I said, no, I'm okay. I was just joking. He said, don't worry, just trust, because it's a big privilege if he will pray on you. And I said, okay. And I just lay down. She turned off the light, and she go out from the room. And then Mr. Quiboloy came, and he started to massage my back. And of course, I didn't feel comfortable, but I also cannot escape. And after that, he started to move his hands lower to my back. And I get scared. I said, no, I don't have pain there. Please don't do it. And he said, just relax, like things like that. And again, I ran away from the room. Again, I hide. Then the next morning, they spoke me again. Like, he wanted to pray on you. He wanted to heal you, and you just go away. So little by little, really, I cannot mention all, but I want you to get the point.
Miss Julia,
there is a lot of trick that they were using.
Miss Julia and colleagues, the minority leader has to leave. Salamat kaayo, Senator Coco, for attending. Miss Julia, before my last follow-up question to you at this point, I'd just like to quickly ask Miss Jacqueline Roy. Miss Roy, quickly lang po at this point, narinig nyo yung mga sinabi ni Miss Julia. Do you confirm what she said? Inaamin nyo ba yung mga sinasabi niya na kayo daw ang nag-groom sa kanya para kay Pastor?
Good afternoon po, Senator. I want to invoke my right to remain silent, and I'm also invoking my right against self-incrimination since nasa korte na po ito. Salamat po.
Alright, babalikan na lang po namin kayo para sa ilan pang mga tanong mamaya. Miss Julia, just for a last question from me at this point. Miss Julia, you sent us a copy of an audio file that came into your possession. Now, noting that the Philippines Republic Act number 9208 as amended grants immunity from liability to a victim of human trafficking who transmits a recording involving a violation of that law, and noting further that this audio file had been also circulating already on the internet, the committee will play this audio file now. So please stay with us, Miss Julia, while we play the audio file.
I was about
ang makagamit sa inyo ang anak lang. Wala lain, maunay kabubuto niya. Ikaw, pani, may number 1 niya. Pag gilapas ni mo, imong gilapastangan ang balaod. At yun kang ulay ko kaluoy, pinagi sa duha o tulo ka saksi. Nabingwit na satanas doon. Gapakita sila sa inyo sa internet, malipayon sila, no? Ganong gapakita pa man sila diyang malipayon sila. Kay dili sila malipayon. Kato sila, gukuro na ko to. Abinag tapos sa ila. pabayaron ko sila tanan. Kay naiutang sila sa ministry nako, naiutang sila sa kingdom. Bubayad to sila madali, madugay. It will take 5 years, it will take 10 years. It does not matter. Basta nakatutok sa ilang angel of death. When the opportunity presents itself, patay sila. Pila nakapastoral na naigo nga tapad sa kuha. Iya pa ninyo. Di man niya ko mapasakitan, membro-membro lang. Pagka nakik-contact ng lalaki diha, nakik-sex ka na sa iya. Yatag mo na yung kaugalingon sa iya. Pag sa internet, nag I love you ka na, yatag mo na yung kaugalingon sa iya. Dato ko, nagsali ko sa imo, hatod na kong gugman ako sa imo, gitraidor ko nimo. Driver, gitraidor ko nimo. Kung sa'yo akong buhaton. Dato ko, para mabawi akong tungo kung sa'yo akong buhaton. Ikaw ugang driver, patyon ta ka. Siguraduhin na ako mamatay mo doon. Dito pa ako makabawi sa akong tungo. Mabitaw ang Muslim, doon ay honor killing. Dili na mo katalikod ang ministry. Pwede mo mga matay. Pero yung pagtuo, pwede mo matalikod. Ginana kay gusto ninyo matalikod. Sulod daw mo GNPA, be. Bisang kadre ka lang, sulod ka GNPA. Pagka naka-lecture na kapila sa ilaha, di ka nakagawas. Pag di gawas ka, bukulong ka, patyon ka. Sulod mong mafia, sulod mong gobyerno sa Amerika. Pag gipasulod ka diya sa ilang CIA, gipasulod ka sa ilang FBI, gipasulod ka sa ilang NSA, nakabalo na ka sa ubang mga confidential niya. Tapos kalit-kalit mo talikod ka, di ka gukurot. Inani ang commitment na ako sa inyo. Wala na'y makatalikod sa inyo. Wala na'y makatalikod sa inyo. Wala na'y pwede mo traitor sa inyo. Pag nag-traitor mo, na'y magukod sa inyo. Patay dyan mo dito. Kapahamakan ang inyong giyantuan. I-implement ko na ito na. Anong unahunaan ninyo na ba? Pakalaluman ninyo ang pangunahunaan ninyo sa ministry na ako. May pamilya mo. Ikaw pa ni, may inahan ka din, may suon ka. Katong isuon ni mo. Pag tinay mo isuon sa gawas. Kung doon natanan, wala ibili na na. Hinana ka lalo ang commitment na ito dire. Pero nag-communicate mong lalaki, pagkatapos mag-report mo sa kuwa dire. Samtang niya mo sa akong balay, ang gusto na ako dire, may tumanon. Dili mo pwedeng mutuman dire sa gusto ninyo, nga dili na ako gusto. Kapuyon kung magyod ang animal, anak putang satanas dire ba? May ibog ko ng mga moros, ng mga Muslim. Na yung mga babae sila magpa-prostitute sa ilang mga warriors. Para mawala ang stress. Ina na ko ang iyong weakness sa lalaki. Ilabay ninyo na kay di na nakabubutol sa mahan. Kaya gihin mo na mong pastoral para sa anak lang mo.
Miss Yulia, before my questions to you about this audio file, Mr. Quiboloy, huwag kayong mag-alala. Magkakaroon din kayo ng oportunidad na magresponde. Didigin lang natin mga kasama lahat ng mga victim survivors testimonies muna. At bahagi din po ito ng karapatan nyo marinig yung mga akusasyon laban sa inyo bago kayo magresponde. Yulia, is this the file? Is this the audio file that came into your possession?
Yes.
Yes. Do you recognize the voice speaking in the audio file?
Yes.
Whose voice is that?
This is the voice of Mr. Quiboloy.
Okay. And well, I know that you don't understand Bisaya so well, but do you have a sense of what he was saying in this audio file?
Yeah, because I experienced like the girl that he is talking about.
Mm-hmm. Only if you know, is Pane Stephanie Ibarra?
Yeah.
Yes. Who is Stephanie Ibarra?
Stephanie Ibarra is main senior in the kingdom, and she is main assistant of Mr. Quiboloy, like the one who like always guide him everywhere. Like, and he she also have access to his room the same as Mr. Quiboloy have access to her room. So
okay, was she also your groomer? Was she also your groomer, like you said
No,
Jacqueline Roy was? No.
no, she was not my groomer. No.
All right.
And why I know you asked me, can you repeat the question, please? How I get idea what he's talking about in this
Yes.
audio, even though I don't understand English, because I
Mm.
experience a lot of things in the ministry. And for example, the girls have some lapses there. For the world, it's a normal thing. Like, for example, they want to chat some boys or something. Like, it's not a crime. But according to the standard of and rule that were in the pastoral, it's a big crime that he will punish them. And I witnessed how Stephanie was several times, only in my time, she was trying to leave the ministry. And
Stephanie
every
Ibarra or Pane was trying to leave the ministry.
yeah, she was
All right.
trying to leave the ministry, and every time she tried, they very in brutal way, in very arrogant way, they will put her back to be always loyal to Mr. Quiboloy as his
How brutal and arrogant way?
Like, for example, there was one time she wanted to run away from the house of Manila. We stayed there, and before we have a concert day there, and we stay in worker's house. And she wanted to run away. She jumped from the window together with her luggage. And
How
when
high
they
was
found
the
out,
window?
I don't know really.
But she jumped from a window to
Yeah,
escape.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. She was trying to go out because she know that in her position in the kingdom, she cannot say that. Can you release me? I don't. I'm full. I'm fed up. I want to go out. She know it's not possible. And
Why wasn't it possible?
because like as I said, she is like his trophy. And he said, like even to us, like if she will leave, how I will handle the other girls, because she's like she used her as example that must be loyal, that must be single, and he said that if I will let you to do it, it will be like like it will bad reputation on me, because
Why was she Quiboloy's trophy?
because this is her position in the kingdom. Because when you are in the pastoral ministry, the main goal is to become a leader, because most of the leaders in the kingdom are women. And he always said that all these girls must be a leader and must be single, because we sacrifice our life through the body of Quiboloy. And he didn't want to lose anyone, especially Stephanie, because
So especially Stephanie.
and because after they left, of course they have a lot, they cannot control them anymore, and they know that anytime they can say what happened them, what they have experienced inside, because while you are inside and you know all these things that going on there, like
If
they're
Stephanie
afraid
or
that you,
Pane
as long
Ibarra
as you
was
will go
able to
out, you will
escape, if she
she
was
was
able to escape, if Quiboloy could not control Stephanie or Pane Ibarra anymore, what would happen? Miss Julia? Yes.
I don't know, because to me, and to us, nothing will happen. She will just live her own life, good or bad. It's depend on our choice on the way how
Yes.
we work on life, because he always put the fear on us that if you will go out, you will become a prostitute. All the men will use you, and here only I using you, and you have this privilege. And he said, I will honor you, and in the world you will be dishonored, you will be lost, like to the you will be homeless. And this is what they are talking actually about us. Like for example, me, I came with a sincere heart to this ministry, and I didn't have any bad record inside the kingdom, except that I fight with Mr. Quiboloy about this pastoral ministry, because for me it was hard to adjust to this rule, because most of the girls in the pastoral, they came from a broken family or came from very young age, that don't have example in life, that don't have a father, and especially when you're young and don't have experience in life, you can plant them the thinking that this is life, is normal, it's good. And when you don't have experience about other life in the world, you will really be afraid to go out.
Miss
And you-
Julia,
yeah.
yes. No, I know that you want to say something to Pastor directly. Here in the Senate, in the Philippines, we don't allow resource persons to talk to each other directly. You may only address the chair. So if you want to say something directly to Quiboloy, please address it through me. For the record, please say, Madam Chair, this is what I want to say to Quiboloy, so that we can hear you and we can put your message to him on record. So please
Okay.
proceed.
Madam Chair, this is what I want to say to Mr. Quiboloy. When I came to the Philippines, I trust my life to you. You promised that you will put honor, dignity on us, and we trust that this is what will happen. And all of this time in this ministry, I was very honest to you. And if there was something that I understand, I always come to you and ask why. Explain me. So from the very beginning to the end, I don't have any bad records. I didn't show myself as a girl, cheap girl, and I always try to be on that level that you try to put on us. But because of this pastoral ministry, for how many years you know that I was trying to learn this way. But I always argue with you because I have a good example in my life. I have a family, there is a wife, there is a husband. I came 24 years old, I'm mature, and it was very hard to broke my the way my view about what is the life, normal life, happiness must be. And I really try to broke myself to follow your rules in the kingdom. But you lead us in a very bad experience. For all these years, of course, I have a good experience and bad, and when everything is mixed up, it's very hard to analyze. When when you are on your emotional are like, they will put you very high, they will put you very low, and you're always on this wave. It's very hard to analyze the way you your true feelings, and they will think that the way you feel bad about this ministry, that this is immoral, but he tried to convince that this is the very high level. They made us doubt about our feelings, and I was there with the honest heart. And even before, like what pulled me back from this ministry, because from this 6 years, as I said, I have a good and bad experience. And to the year of 2019, the bad experience was already more than a good, and I decided to leave. I made a letter through Atengrid to pastor that I'm very thankful for all the experience that I have in the kingdom, because there is a lot of things that I love, like singing, worshiping, like a young congregation. I love to serve God, but I'm going out because I have doubt about pastoral ministry. I cannot tolerate it anymore, and I don't feel that I I can do it. And this was the time of COVID, and I was in Ukraine that time, serving here. And because it was COVID, I went to from the KLC workers' house. I went to my parents' house, and I stayed there for how many months? Because it was we didn't know. And this is again my thinking renew. Again, I see my family. I see, and I start to. There is no one who will influence me again, and I came to life. But even though the bad experience that I have, I still go with a thankful heart. And what they do to me, because I still watching, even though I go out, I still watching the TWP program. And in his TWP program, I didn't do anything, but he said about me that if you will work as a prostitute the whole your life out of the kingdom, you cannot replace all these material things that I invest in you here. You compare me as a prostitute, and I'm here living like ordinary life. I have to, when I go out of the kingdom, I was almost 30 years old. Because of the kingdom, I was not able to finish my study. I was not able to build my own family. I was not able to have my career, so I can have something of my own. When you invest all your time, all your efforts, everything into the kingdom, and when you go out, you have nothing. And then in everything you do there, you do with a sincere heart. We never ask for payment. We never ask for salary. We go out from the empty hands, and still you are saying that we own you. Maybe this is you who own us, and you broke our reputation even. And he started to say very bad things about me, to destroy my reputation, because he know that if I will go out in the way, in case if I will say what is happening there, my reputation will be destroyed and nobody will believe. This is what he always destructive that he do.
Yes.
And the last thing
Thank you
that I
very
want to
much,
say,
Miss Yulia.
1 minute, please, because
Yes.
I always argue about pastoral ministry, as I said, and especially when the minors came, because I cannot tolerate, and they know this. And I start to fight for these kids because they hide it from us. And it's a very long story. Maybe I will have an opportunity to tell everything. But
Yes, you can also
Mr.
submit
Quiboloy
it to us in
told
writing.
me, Mr. Quiboloy told me, Yulia, don't come near to my relationship with God, because this pastoral ministry, this is my ministry, and I know what I'm doing. If I will have a problem with this, I will be the one to solve it. But when problem to appear, he never face it, because he wants the other. He used people who even are not pastoral and don't know about his life. They don't know what he eat, what his arrangement in the, they don't know anything. And we, how many years we stay under one roof? We all.
Thank you
And
very much, Miss Yulia.
uses not he's until now he's not solving this problem that he created. He wants the all kingdom nation. to protect him. He want even this victim to make them as accomplishment protect him. But
Thank you very much, Miss
but
Julia,
I want
for
to
actually
face your
helping us.
problem.
Yes, you're helping us to find out what the problems actually were and see if through our laws we can prevent them ever happening again. So thank you very much, Miss Julia. Please stay on in our hearing in case we have other questions for you later in the hearing. We will now hear the other victim survivors. Thank you very
Okay,
much,
thank
Miss
you.
Julia, and take
Thank you.
care. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
thank you.
Thank you. So ngayon, pakinggan naman po natin si Edward Ablaza Masayon. Sir Edward, maaari mo bang ipaalala sa amin, di ba kayo yung bahagi ng 2nd Signal Battalion ni Quiboloy?
Opo, Madam Chair.
Okay po. Ano po ba yung 2nd Signal Battalion? Para ba yung private army?
Actually po, Madam Chair, ang 2nd Signal Battalion is a legit po na galing sa Philippine Army. Noon po, nag-start yung ano ni Quiboloy po, yung private army po. Nung panahon pa po ng Task Force Davao, kasi yung unang batch ng Task Force Davao, yung hindi pa ako nakasali doon, meron pong mga workers na kasama ko, yung pili lang, sila yung mga unang batch talaga.
Okay.
Task Force Davao is local lang po ng Davao.
Yes.
Noong 2015 po, mag-jump out po tayo. 2015, na-endorse po yung paaro dito sa Kingdom. Because paaro is gamit na gamit po kasi national na po siya.
Ano po yung paaro?
Philippine Army Affiliated Reserve Unit.
Okay, paaro.
Paaro po. Under po ng 11 RCDG, at saka po yung sa ARESCOM po na yung nag-train po is 1105 Community Defense Center ng 11 RCDG.
So yung paaro nasa ilalim ng 11
RCDG po.
RCDG. Ano po yung RCDG?
Reserve, RCDG is Reserve Command po.
Ng Philippine Army.
Po.
At yung paaro nasa ilalim ng 11th RCDG at ng
nag-train po is yung sa 1105 Community Defense Center po.
Nag-train.
Yung under po ng
1105th Community Defense Group?
Group po. Group.
Community Defense Group. Okay po.
Defense Center po.
Defense Center. Okay.
Bali po yung second Signal Battalion po is po yan, binubuo po yan ng buong Kingdom members o workers po. Wala pong nakasali dyan ng mga tagalabas. Hindi po kagaya ng ibang mga ng paaro sa ibang lugar po, sa ibang tawag nito, sa ibang parte ng regional po na yung exclusive po talaga yung 2nd Signal Battalion under po ng SMNI.
Okay. Under ng SMNI, yung
Opo.
media company.
Opo, media company.
Pero yung
po.
media company ng SMNI, merong sa ilalim niya nitong 2nd Signal Battalion.
Ito po yung certificate ko po, sinerex ko po.
Okay.
Basahin ko po yung
Yes,
talaga.
please. And then pakisubmit ng kopya sa aming COMSEC. Sir
Ito po
Edward.
yung namin, yung sa September 7, 2015 to November 21 na training po namin.
Okay.
Po is Philippine Army Affiliated Reserve Unit, PAARO, then Military Orientation Training of the 2nd Metro Davao Signal Battalion, Sunshine Media Network International. Ito po
So,
yung
ito pala ay 2nd Metro Davao Signal
Opo,
Battalion.
Signal Battalion.
Yung buong pangalan niya.
Opo.
Okay. Diyan ba sa 2nd Metro Davao Signal Battalion kinukuha yung tinatawag na Angels of Death?
Actually po, meron po tayong diyan po niya kinukuha. Yung ibig kong sabihin, yung Angel of Death po kasi, yung mga nagpumapatay po, yung mga labi na sa mga kasamahan ko, na mga worker na napatay na po. Bali, kung saan po, for example, ako po, pag nakitaan ako ng loyalty, yung talagang gusto kong pakita yung faithfulness ko sa ministry, sa anak ng Diyos, maaari kong gawin yun.
So yung pagkaalam nyo sa Angels of Death ay pumapatay sila, pumapatay pati ng workers, pumapatay ng workers para magpakita ng loyalty kay Quiboloy.
Yung angel of death is nabuo po yun, yung sa mga against sa kanya. Like sa pastoral po, narinig niyo po sa kanyang yung na ano po ni Lulia, na papatayin yung mga pamilya nila pag lumabas, pag marami silang alam. Tapos lumabas sila, hindi na sila maaaring makalalabas sa ministry, sa poder niya. At saka maraming alam po, yung nakakaalam po sa, lalo sa pastoral, inner circle, yung mga ganun po. At saka mayroon din pong member ng yung sa Angel of Death, yung kasama ko rin po, yung si Simon Tagnipis. Si Simon Tagnipis po kasi, siya yung pumatay kay Jarog.
Kay?
Jarog po.
Jaruk?
Opo, Jarog.
Sino po si Jaruk?
Duming Jarog, hindi ako, dato po yan ng Kausayan.
Kahusayan?
Sityo Kausayan ng...
Sityo Kahusayan.
Opo, yung sa atayan, sakop atayan ng Manuel Gianga sa Davao City.
Sa Davao City, Sityo Kahusayan.
Opo. Nakasama ko po yan, open secret na po yan sa security department sa amin na siya yung talagang tumira kay Jarog.
Ang security department, ito rin po yung 2nd Metro Davao Signal Battalion.
Opo, under po ng security department yan ng Kingdom. Kasi more or less 21 department yung nasa loob ng Kingdom. May logistics, ganyan, transportation.
Opo, logistics kina Mr. Resita. Tiging kayo naman sa security department. Okay.
Ganun po yung namin set up po dyan sa loob.
Okay. At nung nasa loob po kayo nitong 2nd Metro Davao Signal Battalion o yung security department, meron ba kayong nasaksihan na inabuso o meron ba kayong nasaksihan na sinaktan? Paano yung ginagawa sa kanila? At bakit sa mga balita, bakit usually sinasaktan yung mga miyembro?
Maging ako po, hindi po ako exempted sa punishment. Kasi mari nilang sabihin sa akin na sa Bisaya ba, pabadlong yung matigas yung ulo. Tao rin naman po tayo nagkakamali. Lalo na yung sabihin, bawal mag-cellphone, bawal manood ng sine, bawal maglaro ng computer games. Because I was there, 15 years old pa po ako, since 1999. I started yung nag-solicit ako, nagtitinda ako ng puto, kakanin. Tsaka po, yung mga palo po na yung mga punishment po na sinasabi lalo na po sila ni Ate Gingging, yung naranasan niyang fasting, na uso po yan dati. 99, I was there in Tamayong. Kaya po, totoo po yung sinabi niya, na bawal po talaga silang kausapin. Bawal pong tulungan, bigyan ng pagkain kasi madadamay ka. Tsaka yung hindi naman po sila makakain talaga kasi yung mess hall separate. Nasa taas yung yung mess hall nasa baba. Makikita sila kung kakain. Tama yung sinabi nila, in order for them na ma-survive yung physical nila, inom ka talaga pag naliligo ka. Yun ang testimony din ng mga nakaranas din ng fasting na nakausap namin after nun. Sa akin naman po, yung paluan po, 2013, massive po yun. Na pinasuot po kami ng SS, yung orange, yung serpent seed po ang mini. Alam mo yung sa preso?
Serpent seed?
Opo. Naka-orange kami nun. Tanggap naman po namin yung time na yun kasi akala namin siya yung anak ng Diyos, yung talagang tanggapin mo yung punishment mo. Alam niyo po yung parang ang turing sa amin na yung trapo, mas may karapatan pa yung trapo kaysa sa amin. Hindi kami, kahit bata, bawal kaming kausapin, bawal kaming magingay. Yung na isang beses nga, tumawa kami, pinapalo kami ulit. Tawa lang po kasi mabigat kaya yung mag-ano ka ng bato. From gising kami ng 4 a.m., preparation para devotional 5 a.m. Tuloy-tuloy na yan, work job, kain, tanghalian, kain lang, 1 oras lang yung pahinga. Hanggang alas 10 ng gabi yung namin, trabaho, puro
mas
overtime.
Mas matagal pa sa pagkakaroling atiging na 14 hours. Kayo, 4 a.m. hanggang 10 p.m.
Opo, hindi pa po kasali yung devotional.
18 hours, may devotional pa.
Bago matulog po, yung mga 11 na po kami makatulog, 11 or 12, ganyan.
Ay, wow. Okay, so 16 hours, pwedeng umabot ang isang araw.
Opo.
Okay, yung mga pagpatay nung 2nd Metro Davao Signal Battalion o yung security department, si Quiboloy ba ang nag-order ng pagpatay sa mga dating KOJC members?
Opo, kasi yung kay Simon po kasi, nasabi nila sa amin yan. Nakausap po si Simon. Opo, way back, hindi ko naalala yung mga taon na yun. Pero sabi niya na kasi may galit daw kasi si pastor doon sa yung Jarog kasi yung lupa niya doon ayaw ibenta.
Jaruk.
Opo.
Si Jaruk at si Simon Tagnipes ay parehong tao or
Hindi po, iba.
magkaiba sila?
Opo.
So bakit kung galit si Quiboloy kay Jaruk, bakit papapatayin si Simon Tagnipes?
Si Simon po kasi, nung matapos niyang patayin si Jarog,
Siya ang pumatay
siya
kay
pumatay
Jaruk.
talaga. Matapos niyang barilin si Jarog, nagkasama ko siya sa QGC compound, doon sa Katitipan, na kung saan security din siya. Parang normal lang, parang walang nangyari. Hanggang sa lumabas siya, yung paglabas niya po, hindi pa siya nagkaroon ng threat kasi nanahimik lang siya nung time na yun. Pero di namin alam bakit few years, ilang taon na, bakit nag-live siya ng Facebook. Against na siya ngayon kay Quiboloy po. Nagdala na siyang Bible, yung against sa doktrina. Sabi ng niya, yung mga kanyang pamilya niya, pinuntahan siya doon, nilapitan upang pabalikin. Ngayon, ayaw na niya kasi sabi niya, ngipin sa ngipin, mata sa mata. Kumbaga, nakasala siya ng nakakuha siya ng buhay, nakautang siya ng buhay ng tao. Kailangan din niya, parang natanggap na niya.
Yung pagpatay niya kay Jaruk?
Oo, tanggap na niya na may mangyayari din sa kanya. Kaya nga, talaga siya, sabi pa kasi magkakilala kami ni Simon sabi pa nga niya, yung mga kaibigan niya, yung parinting niya talaga, yung kadugo niya.
Kamag-anak.
Kamag-anak niya, sabi nga niya na kung saan magdadala na siya ng Bible. Gano'n na po yung niya. Kasi parang nagsisisi po siya sa nangyari, nagawa sa kanya. Hanggang sa dumating po yung time na pinatay talaga siya.
At si Quiboloy ba talaga ang nag-uutos na pumatay? Baka mga tao lang niya, di niya alam?
Hindi
Siya ba
naman po
talaga?
namin, kung ako, hindi naman namin gagawin yun kung hindi inuutos mula sa taas. Sino ba kami? Magagalit lang kami sa isang worker, sa isang tao na against sa ministry, na lumabas, galit lang. Pero pag inutos na niya na gawin namin yan, gagawin po talaga namin yun.
Okay. Kamusta naman yung pagtrato ni Quiboloy sa mga miyembro? Halimbawa, pag may sakit, pag may pangangailangan ang miyembro, kumusta ba?
Pag may sakit po, yun lang po yung doon kasi kami, ordinary worker, dati yun, naranasan ko po nung nagkasakit ako ng pneumonia, basal pneumonia. Binibigyan lang po kami ng pamasahe, 100 piso, tapos pa-check up sa SBMC, sa public hospital, SBMC. Tapos,
Southern Philippines
opo,
Medical Center.
Hindi naman sa inaano natin, minamaliit yung SPMC. Maganda naman yung serbisyo doon. Pero sa ngala na nag-solicit ka, nakapagbigay ka ng income,
10 to 15 million every, ano ba yung sinabi kanina? Every
yung buong
month.
pinag-anuhan namin, yung araw-araw naka-income kami pag mayroong month of blessings, yung KOH na sinasabi, nakakontribute ka ng pera tapos nagkasakit ka, i-ano ka lang, ipa-check up ka sa SPMC. Tapos niyan, ano ka pa sa lingap. Yung programa po ni doon po sa Davao yung lingap. Pipila ka doon ng ilang oras. At saka hindi po sinasabi, yung Madam Chair, yung hindi pinapakilala na kingdom kami. Galing kami kay Quiboloy kasi mapapahiya daw si pastor. Kasi mayaman daw. Yung reaksyon ng tagalingap, yung malaman nila, uy, Quiboloy, mayaman yan. Bakit kayo nanghihingi ng
yun na
So,
nga.
ayuda. Ganun po yung
Tama rin. So, kasi nakaka-generate kayo ng malalaking pera,
Opo.
pero hindi, kumbaga, katumbas yung medical care na nakukuha nyo kapag kayo naman ang nagkasakit. Kung may ibang pangangailangan bukod sa health, ganun din ba yung nangyayari lang?
Yung halimbawa po, yung katulugan nga namin, alam po nila General Torre po yun. Yung sila Kenel Maranta, nakapasok sila doon, yung tulugan ng mga babae doon. Parang dito, malaking ganito, tapos parang mga sardinas dyan. Tabi-tabi, lahat. Walang maayos na tulugan. Kaya kabaliktaran po lahat nakikita natin sa TV, yung propaganda. Saka yung yung binibigay sa amin, supply, sabon. Ayan. Yun po, yung honorarium, swerte lang, mabigyan ka. 500 minsan weekly or 200. Depende sa tagal mo na sa loob.
Since 1950, the recipe for Lingnam's beef wonton noodles remains unchanged and original. The egg noodles, traditionally prepared, made fresh every day. The broth, simmered for hours to achieve that rich and delicious flavor. The beef, slow so cooked, it melts in your mouth. Every bowl, every bite, every spoonful, carefully prepared for you to taste the OG Lingnam Original Beef Wonton Noodles.
Nag-ano po tayo ni attorney, yung nag-ano
Sa
kami, yung
office
about
po.
sa ano, yung coming na hearing.
Opo.
Gaya po sinabi ni Yulia, kahit nila po ni Tigingging, lahat kami dito, loyal at committed po kami lahat. Naniniwala kami na anak siya ng Diyos, glorified body. Kahit na lumabas ka, dahil parang doon ka na lumaki, yung mundo mo doon na umikot. Doon na umikot yung mundo mo. Tapos pag na-anuhan niya na nalaman mo na para sa isip mo na siya na talaga yung daan at katotohanan kahit nasa labas ka, magkaroon ka ng takot, baka mamatay ka, tapos siya yung harapin mo. Kung ganun po yung nararamdaman namin. Kaya, nung time na yon, uso yung pinalabas na nag-glorified na raw si Pastor. Yung time na yun, hindi na siya nagpapakita gaano. So, lumapit ako ngayon kay Enting Canada po, Crescente, sa Barangay Hall. Kasi baka sakali ako na totoo nga si Pastor, ko talaga, naka-decide talaga ako na lumapit. January 16 or 17, kung di ako nagkakamali.
Nitong taon.
Kumbaga, pagtatraidor po yung gagawin ko, yung ganon. Kasi isusuka ko yung mga contact na staff ninyo. Gagawin ko talaga yon kasi parang na-feel ko na totoo talaga to si Pastor. Parang, Lord, patawad po kung nakakontak ako sa kanila, nila Arlene. Ganun po na-feel ko kasi I've been there for 20 years. Tapos yung faith mo, alam mo na lumaki ka sa isang relihiyosong pamilya, yung ganun po. Tapos, paglapit ko po nung time na yon, buti na lang, may sinabi si Inting, bago ko na ibigay, buti na lang, hindi ko na ibigay yung number. Hindi kasi siya nag-ask nung una. Unang ginawa niya, nag-usap kami, fellowship, ang ganda ng fellowship. Ganyan talaga yung sa kingdom, buhay ni Pastor, ganyan. Bigla lang kalagitnaan, naiba yung usapan namin. Ba't naman kasi kayo pumupunta dyan? Ba't naman kasi kayo nag-testimony dyan? Hindi mo alam. Baka may riding in tandem na paglabas mo.
Ganon. Riding in tandem.
Yung bang sabi niya sa akin, baka may riding in tandem.
Ano pang sinabi niya sa iyo?
Tapos silambayon daw, yung silambayon po, yung military po na namin, yung naka-DS po kay Quiboloy, sabi niya, silambayon, bago lang may pinatay.
Anong pangalan nun?
Lambayon po apelido. Parang Dino ata yung pagkakaalam ko.
Nilo Lambayon.
Dino.
Dino Lambayon. So nung sinabi ni Mr. Canada yan, Enteng Canada, na isang riding in tandem lang yan, tama ba na tinanong niya sino yung kausap mo sa mga staff ko? At nung binanggit niya yung riding in tandem, kaugnay ng mga staff ko, ano yung pagkaintindi mo sa tanong na yon at sa sinabing iyon?
Ang pagkakaintindi ko po, na maaari kaming ipapatay kung papatuloy namin itong ginagawa namin. Kasi pagbanggit niya na Silambayon, doon po ako na medyo na... Kasi Silambayon po kasi, kasama ko yan sa Julo na nangharas doon sa yung mga native doon, yung mga nakatira sa Julo.
Ang mga lumad?
Lumad po. Pumunta nga, yung ebidensya, marami tayong ebidensya. Yung si LJ Lindaan, yung sa JMA, pumunta doon. Yung si dating chief ng Tibungko at Tugbok, si Alcala ba yun na pumunta din sa amin, interview. Ako yung kaharap. Yun po yung mga kasi Silambayon po kasi, alias pa nga siya noon, alias Rico, tapos naka-wig siya.
Alias Rico?
Oo, ginamit niya doon sa Julo.
And kanina nung, Sir Edward, nung binabanggit nyo si Montagnipes at Jaruk, may binanggit din kayong usapin ng lupa. Ito rin ba ay kaugnay ng mga hinaras na mga lumad? Or
Opo, kasali na yan sa Julo, buong ng Tamayo.
Jolong?
Julo, Sitio Julo.
Sitio Jolo.
Opo.
Okay. So yung encounter nyo, yung pag-uusap nyo kay Mr. Canada ay may ganong parang banta na ang dating sa inyo pwede kayong ipapatay dahil binanggit yung riding in tandem. Pati nung tinanong niya sa inyo yung staff ko, binanggit din yung riding in tandem. Ano yun, pati staff ko, binabantaan nila?
Hindi po, hindi naman talaga direct na
Kayo?
Pero ano lang, parang ano lang ba, yung ano yung kapag ano ka dyan, iniksian lang, na ano, mayroong riding in tandem. Kaya na ano po ako, natakot din po ako nung sa mga kasamahan ko na staff, kasi konsensya ko rin naman, kung ibinigay ko yung number, siya nirason ko na lang na, naiwan yung ano ko, nandoon sa isang cellphone ko yung ano, makontak kasi nagmamadali akong pumunta dito para makausap ka. Kaya, alam niyo po ba, pinag-isipan ko yun bago pumunta doon. Nagdalangin talaga ko, Lord, kung kalooban mo na totoo si Pastor, magaganap talaga ito, mangyayari talaga na babaliktad talaga ako. Buti na lang, naka-mention siya nung time na yun. Parang yun na yung ano ko eh. Alam mo yung masaya ka, nag-usap kayo, fellowship, tapos biglang kumambyo. Yung saya mo, nabaliktad, na ano, na, parang ano to Iba na to Mayroon namang inutusan nga si Simon. Kaya lahat ng napatay po nila, na mga kasamahan ko, sila Simon Tagnipes, sila Nanay Elsa Bolivar, si Raymond Pasyol, naaalala ko po doon sa ano ko, yung na-recall ko ba, sa isip ko, bida to yung kawawa yung mga kasamahan ko.
Si Elsa Bolivar na binanggit din ni Ate Gingging kanina, yung senior citizen.
Opo.
And then binanggit nyo ngayon si Raymond Fasiol, na binanggit mo rin dati.